Alan Jackson will go into court and he will withdraw from the case. No plea will be entered. A public defender is going to be appointed.
As you know, my name is Alan Jackson. This morning, I had to withdraw as Nick Reiner's counsel.
Rob Reiner, the voice behind Meathead on All in the Family, the visionary director of timeless classics like Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, and A Few Good Men, was taken from us in the most unimaginable way. On December 14, 2025, the 78-year-old icon and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, 68, were stabbed to death in their Beverly Hills home. Their accused killer, their own son, Nick Reiner, 32, arrested at the scene and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances, crimes that carry the possibility of the death penalty or life without parole. For weeks, Nick was represented by one of the nation's most prominent defense attorneys, Alan Jackson, the legal powerhouse who defended Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, and secured a mistrial for Karen Red. But today, January 7, 2026, in a Los Angeles courtroom on the day Nick was scheduled to enter his plea, Alan Jackson abruptly withdrew from the case, leaving Nick to face these grave charges with a public defender. So why is Alan Jackson just withdrew from the case? Let's find out. Rob Reiner, the golden era of Hollywood. For those of us who grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Rob Reiner wasn't just a filmmaker, he was family. He burst onto our screens as Michael Meathead Stivic on All in the Family, the long-haired son-in-law who sparred with Carol O'Connor's Archie in ways that mirrored every dinner table debate across America. With his quick wit and unmistakable voice, Rob became the liberal conscience of a divided nation, all while making us laugh until we cried. Then came the directing years, the ones that cemented his legend. This is Spinal Tap turned rock mockery into an art form. Stand By Me captured the aching beauty of childhood friendship like nothing before or since. The Princess Bride gave us fairy tale romance with a wink, lines we still quote decades later. Inconceivable. As You Wish. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya, and who can forget When Harry Met Sally, the film that settled, or started, a million arguments about love and friendship over deli sandwiches. By the early 90s, Misery terrified us and earned Kathy Bates an Oscar, while A Few Good Men delivered that electrifying, "You can't handle the truth" moment that still echoes in courtrooms and conversations today. Rob Reiner didn't just make movies, he bottled the spirit of his time. Smart, heartfelt, funny, and fearless. He was Hollywood royalty, son of comedy genius Carl Reiner, husband to Michelle Singer Reiner, and father to 3 children raised in the glow of that extraordinary legacy. But even the brightest lights cast long shadows, and in the Reiner family, those shadows were about to grow impossibly dark. The Reiner family behind the fame. Rob Reiner's life wasn't just lived on screen. It was shared with a family that seemed to embody the best of Hollywood's dream. In 1989, he married Michelle Singer, a talented director in her own right, and together they raised 3 children in the hills above Los Angeles, Jake, Nick, and Romy. To the outside world, they were golden, spotted at film premieres, charity events, and Lakers games, always smiling, always together. Rob often spoke proudly of his kids in interviews, calling fatherhood his greatest role. Nick, the middle child, born in 1993, even stepped into the family business early. In 2015, at just 22, he co-wrote Being Charlie with his father, a semi-autobiographical film about a young man battling addiction in rehab. Rob directed it, and the project was hailed as raw, honest, and deeply personal. Critics praised its courage. Rob called it one of the most important stories he'd ever told. To many, it felt like a triumph, proof that the Reiners could turn pain into art, just like the classics we loved. But behind those red carpet smiles, Nick had been struggling for years. Reports later revealed battles with substance abuse beginning in his teens, multiple rehab stints, and a diagnosis of schizophrenia. Wellness checks became routine. Friends and family quietly worried. Rob and Michelle, devoted parents, stood by him through every crisis, believing love and support could pull him through. They shielded him from the harshest spotlight, hoping privacy might heal what fame sometimes breaks. For those of us watching from afar, the Reiner family felt untouchable, a reminder of when Hollywood still seemed capable of happy endings. Little did we know, the darkest chapter was yet to come. The unimaginable tragedy. Imagine waking up to a headline that shatters your world. Rob Reiner, the man who made us believe in fairy tales and courtroom justice, gone in the blink of an eye. On December 14th, 2025, in the quiet luxury of their Beverly Hills home, Rob, 78, and his beloved wife Michelle, 68, were discovered lifeless, victims of a brutal stabbing. The scene was one no fan could fathom, blood in the halls where laughter once echoed, a family portrait forever stained. The accused, their own son, Nick Reiner, 32, arrested at the scene in a state of apparent distress, charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances, including multiple victims and lying in wait. Nick faced the death penalty or life without parole. Prosecutors painted a grim picture, a knife as the weapon, motives tangled in years of mental health battles and family strife. Nick, who had lived with his parents amid his struggles, reportedly called 911 himself, but the damage was irreversible. For us older folks, this hit like a gut punch from misery itself. Rob wasn't just a director, he was our voice. Progressive, passionate, a fighter against injustice through films that define generations. Michelle, his partner of over 3 decades, was the quiet force behind him, co-parenting in the spotlight's glare. Their deaths weren't just news, they were a betrayal of the Hollywood happily ever after we clung to. Whispers of Nick's demons surfaced. Schizophrenia, addiction, a life derailed despite his parents' endless support. Being Charlie, the film they made together, suddenly felt like a prophecy, a cry for help ignored by fate. As tributes poured in from stars like Billy Crystal and Tom Cruise, the world mourned not just icons, but the fragility of family. How could the son of Meathead become this nightmare? Entering the courtroom, the high-profile defense begins. In the wake of unimaginable loss, the wheels of justice began to turn, pulling the Reiner legacy into a stark, fluorescent-lit reality far from Hollywood's glamour. Nick Reiner, still reeling from the December 14th tragedy, was arraigned just days later, facing 2 counts of first-degree murder with enhancements that could mean life behind bars, or worse. For those of us who remember the tension of A Few Good Men, this real-life drama felt eerily familiar, but without the scripted heroism. Enter Alan Jackson, the powerhouse defense attorney whose name evokes both awe and controversy. Fresh off high-profile victories and defeats, defending Kevin Spacey in his sexual assault trials, representing Harvey Weinstein in his appeals, and securing a mistrial for Karen Reed in her explosive murder case, Jackson was a natural fit for a story this seismic. Hired swiftly by the family, he stepped in with the gravitas of a Tom Cruise cross-examination, requesting immediate delays to allow for comprehensive psychiatric evaluations. This case involves complex and serious issues, Jackson told reporters outside the courthouse, his words hinting at a potential insanity defense rooted in Nick's documented schizophrenia and addiction history. Court filings revealed a man in crisis. Nick had been placed on suicide watch after his arrest, his mental state a focal point from day one. Jackson's strategy seemed clear: humanize the accused, emphasize the invisible battles that plague celebrity offspring. He pushed for privacy in hearings, arguing the media frenzy could prejudice the jury, all while navigating special circumstances like lying in wait that prosecutors wielded aggressively. For nostalgic viewers, Jackson's involvement recalled the courtroom fireworks Rob Reiner directed so masterfully. Here was a defender who thrived on the impossible, turning scandals into spectacles. But as weeks turned to months, cracks began to show. Whispers of strategy clashes or mounting pressure circulated. Little did we know, the biggest bombshell was imminent. The shocking twist: lawyer Alan Jackson withdraws. And then, on this fateful day, January 7th, 2026, the Reiner saga delivered its most jaw-dropping plot twist yet, straight out of a thriller Rob himself might have directed. In the hallowed halls of Los Angeles Superior Court, during what was meant to be Nick Reiner's long-awaited arraignment, high-profile attorney Alan Jackson dropped a bombshell. He was withdrawing from the case, effective immediately. No fanfare, no lengthy explanation. Just a courtroom announcement that left jaws on the floor and the media in a frenzy. TMZ broke the story first, reporting that Jackson informed the judge mid-proceeding citing undisclosed reasons. The arraignment continued indefinitely with no plea entered. Nick, facing those two murder charges with special circumstances, was suddenly handed off to a public defender, at least temporarily. For a family accustomed to Hollywood's elite resources, this shift felt seismic. Jackson, the legal eagle who'd navigated scandals for Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, and Karen Redd, had been the beacon of hope in this storm. His early moves, pushing for mental health evals, hinting at complex issues, suggested a defense built on Nick's schizophrenia and addiction, perhaps aiming for diminished capacity or insanity. Why the abrupt exit? Speculation runs wild, as it always does in Tinseltown tales. Could it be a clash over strategy, with Nick or remaining family pushing for a different path? Payment woes in a case this draining? Or ethical dilemmas bubbling under the surface? Jackson hasn't spoken publicly yet. No interviews, no statements. And the Reiner siblings, Jake and Romy, have stayed silent amid their grief. What we do know, this leaves Nick vulnerable, his fate now in the hands of an overburdened public system where mental health defenses face steeper odds. For us watching, it's a chilling reminder of how even the mightiest fall. The courtroom, once a stage for Reiner's scripted triumphs, now hosts a real-life unraveling, a legacy in shadows. As the dust settles on this courtroom shocker, Alan Jackson's abrupt withdrawal leaving Nick Reiner adrift, we're left to ponder the fragile threads of a once unbreakable legacy. Rob Reiner didn't just entertain us, he shaped our worldview. From the social commentary of All in the Family to the romantic optimism of When Harry Met Sally, his work was a mirror to our hopes and flaws. Now that mirror is cracked, reflecting a family's private hell spilled into public view. Tributes have flooded in since the tragedy. Billy Crystal recalling Rob's infectious laugh on set, Tom Cruise praising his directing genius in A Few Good Men. Even political allies like Barack Obama mourned the loss of a vocal activist against inequality. Michelle, often the unsung hero, is remembered for her own films and unwavering support. A true partner in every sense. Their children, Jake and Romy, have issued quiet statements through reps, expressing devastation while requesting privacy amid the media storm. This isn't the first Hollywood family saga to unravel. Think of the Coppolas, the Fondas, or even the Barrymores, where fame's weight crushes the vulnerable. Nick's story echoes so many celebrity kids lost to addiction and mental illness, battles often hidden behind gilded doors. Being Charlie, the film Rob and Nick created, now stands as a haunting testament. A father-son collaboration meant to heal, but unable to prevent the unthinkable. For us older audiences, this hits home like a faded Polaroid from our youth. Rob's movies were our soundtrack, teaching us to stand by friends, fight for truth, believe in love. Yet his family's pain reminds us that no script guarantees a happy ending. As the case plods on, with mental health at its core and a public defender stepping in, we hold on to the light Rob left behind. His films endure, timeless beacons in a darkening world. Perhaps in time, healing will come, not just for the Reiners, but for all who cherish their glow. As we close this chapter on a legacy turned tragic, remember Rob Reiner not for the shadows, but for the light he brought us. His films, timeless treasures like The Princess Bride and A Few Good Men, still whisper truths about love, justice, and humanity. Alan Jackson's sudden withdrawal from Nick's case adds another layer of heartbreak, a reminder that even in courtrooms, happy endings aren't guaranteed. To our nostalgic hearts, hold on to the memories, those movie nights that shaped us. The Reiner family's pain is profound, but Rob's spirit endures. Thank you for joining From Meathead to Heartbreak. Until next time, cherish the stories that bind us.